sharing. I like that. I'm gonna repeat another statement, the same one I've been repeating lately. I get on these little jags, because they keep downloading a lot of meaning to me. And the one I wanted to use again tonight is from the Course in Miracles, and it's that you and I are the dreamer of this dream. Yeah. Now, if you have a difficulty believing this is a dream, just look at this whole place is determined by a subjective experience, yours and mine. Yeah. So when something happens and all of us are at the same event, everyone will probably have a different experience of the same event. So obviously the event didn't influence you. You are the main influence of the event. I mean, it's a simple way to prove it. It's so obvious, right? So here we are having something that occurs, and yet how it's held or how it's experienced will be based not on the event, but on you. Yeah. This isn't just a random, isolated event. This is how it is. You and I give everything all the meaning it has. You and I, just like in physics, they say that one of the main statements of physics now is that the biggest influence of any experiment is the observer of it. Voila, you and I. Yeah? We're the biggest influence. So they do a study where they did many studies on light. Yeah? And so one research group had a grant to study light as a wave, and so when they were looking for light, it appeared as a wave. Yeah. The other research group had a grant to find light as a particle, and just so happened when they looked for it, they found it as a particle. Now it's both because it's neither. Really, it's based on it's based on you more than it. Yeah. You are the determining factor. Just like your day, we tend to believe in circumstances and situations can overwhelm us, but when clarity starts growing, you'll see that you outshine circumstances and situations. You outshine it. And no matter what condition you think you're in, the prior condition is you outshine it. It's not that you outshine it only when there's a good day. You may be giving your permission only based on that, but that's still your head playing God. It's your basic state outshines circumstances and situations. So if you follow it, you and I are the dreamer of the dream. And so let's say we'll use that metaphor as what's going on here, dreaming. Yes? Just another example. Let's say if I'm not in good shape, something on Monday can be a big problem. Then the next day I feel good, it's not a problem on Tuesday. Then suddenly I'm not feeling bad. Suddenly it morphs into being a problem again. As if it has those two natures of problem or not a problem. No, it's based on my condition. That's how that thing is. That thing's isness isn't. That thing's isness is based on this. Yeah? Yeah. All right, so you and I are the dreamer of the dream. We forgot that we're dreaming. Now this to me is important because that forgetting is produced. Yeah, it's not just a natural forgetting because you're the dreamer of the dream. How are you going to forget that you're dreaming? Yeah. Well, the way how it was revealed to me is that we're remembering something. Yeah, we're remembering the idea that we're a long-lasting, independent, separate entity, a thing. So let's say in the dream is of things. This would fall under the category of a dreamt object. It's a thing. Yeah, you're seeing it. Yes, it's a thing. Yeah. So the dream is the dreaming of objects. Yeah. What's not an object is dreaming of itself as objects. Okay, let's put it that way. Okay, so the dreamer of the dream, all of us, yeah, is dreaming, but it forgets that it's dreaming by, I would say, remembering the idea of being a self, which is constantly being assumed and implied if you're listening to K. Paul or K. Sue or K. whoever it is, you know, that little mental radio station that you tune into, seemingly. and it's telling you how it was, how it's going to be, how you are, and all like that. You know, it says it's a news channel, but it ain't news. It's propaganda for sure. Yes, it's propaganda, big time propaganda. Okay, so all right. So I'm remembering that I'm the dreamt object, and in that remembrance of this, I forget that I'm the dreaming. Yeah, it makes total sense if you look at it. Yeah. All right. So okay, in this condition, when I'm forgetting that I'm the dreaming, this is what happens. You and I give everything. We give what we're dreaming the ability to affect us. Yeah. By forgetting that I'm not a thing, the transfer of meaning to other things is so strong that they have the ability to bite this thing's ass. Yeah. So every day, you could probably, everyone in any place, in any day in this world, you could use this as a template and put it over their experience today, and it would describe the basic nuts and bolts of what's going on. Yeah. This is how I see it, and I haven't not seen it like this since it dawned on me. Yeah? So, you and I are the dreamer of the dream. We're in the state of forgetting that we're the dreamer, and in that state we give everything that we've dreamt the power to affect us as what? Not as the dreamer, because the dreamer is not of a thing. See? Weather doesn't affect no thing. Weather affects a thing. Yeah? Weather affects the paint job on your car. Weather affects your, if you have gout or something, or arthritis, it will affect that in your body, or sinus infections, or this and that, yeah? But it doesn't affect no thing. So, a dreamt object cannot produce an effect on what's dreaming, unless what's dreaming takes itself to be a dreamt object. Voila! Yeah? So your feeling of being you is either loosely, I would say tightly wound to the idea that you're a body, or you're in a body, or you have a body. But the body is the main reference of all the mental interpretations here. I swear. It's a given, basically. When it starts riffing, it's riffed that so many times you miss the first few notes. The first few notes is the idea of being a body. And then it just riffs away. What happened to this body? What's going to happen to this body? God forbid what happened happens again, and on and on and on. Yes? So that's what I call selfing in a way. And selfing becomes very indulgent. Yeah? You're fascinated with it. You're in love with it because it's supposed to be about you, basically. If you had someone else's selfing going on that was about, let's say, Stanley, and you weren't Stanley, you'd be bored stiff in a minute, I guarantee it. Just like if you don't have an agenda for anybody, and you go out to dinner with them, let's say it's a girl, and now you have an agenda, you like to sleep with her, and so you think, well, I'm going to listen to her talk about her cats for 5 hours with the hopes that we go horizontal at the end of the night. And so she thinks you're very sincerely interested in her cats, but you're not really. You're interested in going to sleep with her. As soon as that mission is accomplished, next time she breaks into a soliloquy about her cats, you're bored stiff. Fuck this, I'm leaving. I'd rather watch the game, whatever it may be. You don't see it, man. It's all self-centered to the extreme. Yeah. So, if you see it, it describes quite a lot. Yeah? It takes all the personalness out of it. It says, all right, we're the dreamer of the dream. And the dreaming of the dream, the dreamer is not an object. Yeah? The dream is about objects, but the dreamer is not an object. It's not a thing. You want to give it a loose term called spirit? Far out, that works. Because the spirit obviously doesn't have a height or a width or a weight, yeah? It can't be quantified. It can't be limited because it's not of a body, yeah? All right, so this whole point of this message is stated by a second thing in the Course in Miracles. It says, all right, we're the dreamer of this dream, yeah? And what's going to happen is we're not going to have to deny it or extinguish it or kill it or take a vow never to indulge in it. We're actually, the mind that's dreaming it is going to dream itself out of the dream, yeah? Through the mechanism of the dream, yeah? Like this. hearing messages from supposed other people, little coincidence, you're really in great need of help, and suddenly someone shows up. This is all dreaming yourself out of the dream. Yeah? And he has a beautiful statement. He says, as you're dreaming yourself out of the dream, and no, not you and not everyone else, you is representing all of us, or none of us, you know, the dream is going to get happier. Yeah? Pretty damn nice idea. Yeah? So there's no rushing out of the dream because you don't have any really power to make anything occur here. But if the mind, let's say, has indicated it's interested in maybe waking up, usually maybe you'll find yourself at a meeting like this, or you'll start seeing you have inclinations you didn't have before, like reading some book on non-duality or whatever it may be. There'll be indications that maybe your mind's had enough of the charade and wants to at least start traveling a little lighter. And so what happens is, obviously, if the dream's going to get happier, what's defining the dream as not happier and provoking a lot of seeking and disappointment and dissatisfaction or disappointment is probably going to diminish its influence. And because you'll see, when its influence diminishes, that was the problem. Your obsession or your identification as a self. You recognize that it's the problem when the solution starts kicking in, because now you get free from it. Yeah? Its influence is broken, and you're not in the addiction of trying to get free as it. You're actually in the immediate stateless state, the momentless moment of being inherently free from it, because you could never possibly be an object. You're the dreamer of this place. You're not the dreamt. We'll keep assuming that we're dreamt, and in that assumption, we're giving everything else that's being dreamt the power to affect us. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2008, 2009, 2010. You can have all your twists and turns of your story, but if you saw the basic skeletal diagram, that's it. Yeah? So some of us have pursued trying to get out of self, as a self, so much that it failed us miserably, that maybe, because the looking was the form of blindness to what the real solution is, so the looking gets exhausted, and maybe something that was already there dawns on you, and you realize, geez, you know, I'm not the thinker of these thoughts that are held as mine. I'm not the feeler or the generator of these feelings. Yeah. I'm not the doer of all the actions. And if you've been in alcoholism or addiction, you know damn well in your heart of hearts that as soon as you got loaded, all bets were off. You were going to do whatever the parasite wanted you to do. You had no fucking say in the matter. Yeah? I know because I was taken over by it. And I mean, it was relentless. It liked to ride its little horse, that jockey. And it rode it until the horse couldn't take it anymore, gave it maybe a day break, and then walked into the stable, got on it again. Woo-hoo! You know, fuck, what a form of slavery. Really insane. Constantly seeking, you know. You take a shot of Coke, and it's good Coke, so maybe you wait 10 minutes. Then the next, it's 8 minutes between shots. Then 5 minutes. And then you're shooting up as soon as you just shut up. It's like addictions never change their formation. Yeah? An addiction never brings you to a level of satiation. It's like I didn't reach a point where I hit critical mass and I did enough Coke and I said, fucking great, thank you. Thank you, sweet cocaine. I have been blessed with your presence, and now it's, I don't know, here's all my drugs, take this. You know? No. It never works out that way. It's insatiable. Like in Tibetan Buddhism, they have a being with a huge belly and a very small mouth. It's a perfect example. They call them hungry ghosts. Yeah? That's what an addict is. They're a hungry ghost. Yeah? That's its activity. You're trying to get fucking substance, yet you're inherently empty. Yeah. So, okay, you're the dreamer of the dream. We forgot that we're dreaming it. How about let's remember that we're the dreaming of it? Yeah? How about try that? You know? Now that's impossible to do, because if you try that, that would be what's forgotten, trying to remember. Yeah? So self would be trying to get out of self, and that doesn't work, as we all know, most of us. And so, therefore, that's the second little trap that keeps you in the maze of self-centeredness, is that you're identified as it. So when you have an urge to be free, it's co-opted by the selfing, and now it takes that urge to be free, and it's cast a story, drenched in time, that someday, but you're hoping to be free as a self, or by a self, or for a self. Yeah? But it's really from the idea of a self. That's the freedom, is from. Yeah? So, we don't try to remember that we're the dreamer. We just see what's causing us to forget. Yeah? To me, this is how it works, much better than trying to... Because if you try to get out of self as a self, that's just another form of being in self. Yeah? It's like all the exit signs, when you get on the other side, have an entrance sign on. it's just every exit you're entering is still more maze of selfing. Yeah? And there's never a point where you're going to get out of it, because inherently you're not in it. That's the point. You cannot get out of an imaginary problem. No matter how hard you try, if you've given that problem relevance, you've basically lost already. Because the solution to the problem is there is no problem, ultimately. Yeah? That's the solution. Now, it may not dawn or show its effect seemingly to you, but I'll tell you, that principle is a damn good one to anchor on, because that one is going to be a sound, reliable principle to rest in your life. And you can use it for, instead of having all these special rulers, oh, she's the one, or this is the biggest problem I've had, you just pull out this little ruler and it downsizes every fucking thing. Just like in AA says, hey, there are no big deals. You know? How many people believe that? Or they say, you lose interest, and he gives you a little jab in your little designs and plans. When they're your plans and designs, are they ever seen as little? No. They're very fucking big, and they're very important. This is the addiction of selfing. You know? When you get out of it, all those things I described in the big book come true. Not to you, yeah, but through this. Yeah. You lose interest in the self. Not you. You don't lose interest in you. You actually gain in a lot of interest. But you lose interest in the self, and then you gain interest in others. Yeah? You stop looking at life as what I can take and take and take, but what can I contribute? All these things happen with no thought or effort. They're just the mind dreaming itself out of the dream. Yeah? And it shows basically some basic stock byproducts. And some of the people in AA were experiencing them. And they started talking about it. They were coming out of the nightmare of alcoholism. And this is what happened as they were dreaming themselves out of that. That's just a little subdivision of the big dream. Yeah. But they were dreaming it out. So someone in 1935 who was experiencing the freedom from that described something that if you're now in program in 2014 and you have the same experience that person shared in 1939. Yeah. Not because you're so similar to them, it's what took you over, took them over, and he's talking about relief from the same parasite that you're experiencing relief from. So the solution or the effects look pretty similar. They hold. If you're a real addict and you read the big book, you will identify with every description of the problem and every description of what it's going to look like when the solution starts taking effect. Yeah. That's the beauty of it, you see. That's the commonality. Our commonality isn't in the problem, it's in the solution. We are that. Yeah. While you're in the problem, you don't see it. People go months and months to meetings and they still don't get that something has taken us over, that's what we identify with. I identify with what's taking you over, not who the hell you think you are or appear to be to me, but what's taking you over because I've lived under the same thing, alcoholism or addiction. So I'm familiar with it, and so are you, so we identify with that. Yeah? So you think, oh, I have every thought I have is so unique, and I have felt so exquisitely unique. It's all run-of-the-mill. It's all like perceptual interpretation from a distorted aspect of mind called alcoholism. Every fucking person who has it will have the same terminal uniqueness. Yeah. Here I go again with the phone. This happened the other day too. I tried to shut it off 3 times, it wouldn't stop. I'm going to hold it for so long, take the battery out of it until it dies. Yeah, killed the fucker. It'll resurrect, just like the selfing does. It was never here, so it just constantly resurrects. It can only appear to be here. The solution is its fundamental flaw, which is not truly so. That's the solution. Yeah. That this whole place is based on one word called seemingly. It appears to be true or false to you. That's it. And the selfing is only in that realm. It's mental, completely mental, and it can only appear to be so. Yeah? But it needs something that is so to appear to be so too. And that's our role. Yeah? The mind has become identified with what it's not. Yeah? It's become identified as this object. So therefore, this is the real thing, and that's the real thing. And then space and spirit is so underplayed that you believe you can acquire some to make your little material sense better. You know what I mean? Jeez, it's like totally insane. And you don't think self-centeredness is strong? Watch the movies when someone's dying and the person's hanging over them saying, "You can't do this to me." You know, let the person fucking die. He's had a hard life. No, we got that date next week. You can't. Jesus Christ, you don't see that as self-centeredness drenched? Yeah. It's so insane, but it's been normalized. Incredibly. It's just unbelievable. And it's just a fail-safe. It's the fail-safe position. It's always, everything pertains to you. Yeah? And the only reason why you're so interested in it is it's you. Yeah? And it's not even you. It's me. It's a fucking mental hybrid of some weird marriage of spirit to a body, and now it's me. It separates from all the other yous. I'm not a you, I'm me. No, you are a you to everyone else in this fucking room. Everyone's experience of this me is a you. Everyone, all the people I ran into, not one of them saw me as me. Not one. They all saw me as a you. It doesn't get through. My whole life, everyone. You have 8,000 people here. Everyone, hey, yeah, I see you. Yeah, you. Yeah. It's not complex. It's so fucking simple, just as much as that. Everyone here sees me as a you, but I beg to differ. You know, I'm me. Yes, I'm very unique and special. Yeah? Everyone, it's not even self-centered, it's me-centered. Yeah? The me finds its relevance centered in a body, but it doesn't give a shit about the body. It doesn't particularly like being inhabiting a body or being defined by a body. It wants to fucking wreak havoc out here, man. If it could spread, it would. Luckily, it saddles only one host and then sucks you dry. Yeah, but it won't let you die. Fuck, that's too easy. You know what I mean? You'll die and then they'll bring you back. And you'll go, fuck you! What did you do? Oh, that's what happened with me. I OD'd and they shot me up in Narcan. I woke up in the same movie. I said, the police were there, the paramedics, I was going to go to jail. I said, Jesus Christ. Someone could have changed the wheel or something, but no. I had my moment to be out and I fucking came back seemingly. It's insane. So, if something seems as real to you, don't you see that it's the reality you are being lent to it by a misperception? Yeah? By an activity called a mental process I like to call selfing. That activity takes what you are and distributes that reality to every fucking thing else. And now this becomes more real. You ever see when someone's made a person a higher power? If you decide you want to call them, you can't talk to them. You got to call their girlfriend because their condition is based on her. Yeah, I've worked with people, and they say, you should call up this guy, and his whole condition is based on his 4 kids' condition. So I'd have to have all of them in the room, because it's pointless to talk to him, because it's not his condition, it's their condition. Yeah. So this is such a simple invitation, but you can pound it every day. And you know what happens? You'll get relief from the mental state, and you'll sense the beingness of here. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it, but once that's there, you just abide there. Yeah, and if the mental state becomes like hellacious or a big storm's brewing, then you can just do some other things, like come to a meeting. But basically, your attention and interest, now freed from the bondage of self, will start getting into the habit of resting in the being. You'll sense a presence. There'll be a tactile experience here. You will feel filled with light. You'll feel power. You'll feel presence. Yeah. And why would you want? You don't need any more investigating then. You don't need any understanding then. Just respond appropriately. Rest. Abide. Yeah. And then suddenly, after a while, the foreground of making everything, and you included, so important, will slowly move to the background. And then the background, that spaciousness, that presence, that light, that just a live light, will move to the foreground, because it's all about you. Yeah? Your attention and interest causes what's in the foreground, to move to the background. What's in the background will move to the foreground, because what's in the background has been always what always is. Yeah, but now it will produce an effect through your attention. Your attention will be off the bondage of self, and it will be put in something else that's worthy of it. Yeah. We were talking about faith. I want to talk about faith today. So I was just at a big recovery meeting. Faith, this is my humble opinion, faith is just a quality of mind, big M, mind, that manifests by the vehicle it's put in. Yes? So all it is potential. All it is energy. Yes? That energy, let's say, I'll give you one example. If you have faith in the thought system that's playing in your head right now, that faith, the stronger the faith in that thought system, the more anxiety will be produced by the thought system. Yeah? If you believe the thoughts that you're going to be screwed next week, or you believe blah, 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 that fervent belief is going to give it the juice to produce an atmosphere of anxiety, not in the future, in the past, but right now. Same energy, just the vehicle it's put in. We've had enough, haven't we? Allow that to be moved to something more reliable. Yeah? The thought system is it's such a bogus, broken system of thought. It's drenched in time. It's conceptualized completely. You think you know something by just thinking about it. You haven't met a damn thing except your interpretation of life since you were probably a kid. We outgrew that state of spontaneity and immediacy, and we grew into an interpretation of life with you as everything. The oracle, the bad one, the convicted, the judge, the attorney, the da-da-da-da. And everyone here is living out a sentence that was cast on them years ago. You know? It makes us paupers when we're the richest person here. That's what it does. It makes you prostitute yourself for a vague substitute for the real thing. This allowed me to be free from the bondage of self as a stabilized possibility, not based on my condition or circumstances, not based on my doing or not doing, not based on your doing or not doing, a baseless condition. Yeah. All I had to do was get weaned off of all the insane shit I was entertaining, and come to see what's blue is blue and red is red. This whole idea of getting into the moment, you can never be out of a moment. It is impossible. You are what a moment is. You are the context of every moment. If only one thing is appearing in it, or 800 things are appearing in it, you are the context of that moment. You are the context of that event. Everything that's appearing in it is in what you are. Yeah? You are dreaming right now. You are the dreaming right now. We've adapted this role. Some of it's run its course. Maybe you want to get off this dead horse and get on a real living one. You know? Who cares if you have 40 horses in your stable if they're all dead? Fucking, you know what I mean? It's like being a professor of holes, and yet you're professing about holes from a hole. You know? What's the point of that knowledge? You know, that's the trick. It was always that statement in AA which says self-knowledge avails you nothing. It was always an interesting statement for me. And then I realized what's the biggest movement of selfing is to claim. Yeah? So let's say if selfing, if this mental process that's going on, right, the source of all interpretation, if it comes in contact with knowledge, it's going to claim the knowledge, and that's going to be cast into self-knowledge, and that self-knowledge is going to avail you nothing if you're concerned about freedom from self. It's not going to work. Yeah? It's going to claim the knowledge, neuter any possibility of a message in it, and then just use it as an adornment. It's like a dead tree with a lot of ornaments on it. You know? The selfing is it's inherently empty, but not in the glorious emptiness, but in the emptiness as a lack of fullness. Yeah? That's what drives all the addictions. Like they think with that, you know, there's that hole that everyone's trying to fill by shopping or eating, or that hole's a portal. That's where that spirit comes into life. If you're busy throwing shit in there all day, you're gonna suspend its arrival date, which is now. Now. And nothing you put in there could possibly stop it unless you believe it could. That's the dilemma. That's how powerful you are. You can forget what's always so here. That's how powerful you and I are. We can seemingly forget what's always so, and actually give a bigger precedent to what's not so. What's not happening becomes more important than what's happening. Yeah. Most people in the thought system are engaged in the past and the future. Yeah, the mind is doing it right now. But it doesn't express or sense the right nowness because it's put like a lay over it, which is called yesterday and tomorrow. And every damn moment in this mental interpretation, every moment of now is bookended with there and then. And the there and then has more influence than the now. The now becomes a receptacle for all these old ideas of then that are going to be projected onto there, get downloaded. Yeah? So when I was a junkie, what I wanted to get out of was here. Here was the last place I wanted to be. And there was a huge mistake. It was a mental here I wanted to get out of. It wasn't here at all. The salvation was the recognition of here, as here. It had already been disguised as a mental here. And that mental here was the last place I wanted to find myself. Because it had all of there and then. All the shit I felt I did or didn't do that I should have done was going to catch up to me if I was fucking sober for 1 second. The fear I had was about now. But it wasn't now, it was a mental here that had been papered over the now. Super thin, you could see through it. But I was giving it the meaning of being so, and so therefore it was. It had the ability to stop me because I gave it that ability. When something seems real, where did it get the reality from? The only place reality could be gotten from is reality. Everything else would be false evidence, and it would appear to be so, that way. But instead, we have that acronym for fear. False evidence suddenly can appear real to us. Where does it get its reality from? Is it just sprouted it? No. It's the observer. It's the participant. It's the mind itself that makes everything seem so. Nothing that isn't so can appear to be so unless what is so gives it permission. Where else is it getting it? There's not like a whole treasure trove of reality in Des Moines, Iowa, that you can get a quantity of it. False evidence is false evidence. But the trick is, if the one that it's appearing to doesn't believe so, it can appear real. Voila. You don't see the living example of it? Just check it out. Look at your head and see when has that false evidence, any kind of false evidence, appeared real to me? Quite a lot. Do you think it's just... You don't see the main ingredient is it needs to appear to someone. Yeah? Its appearance isn't determined by it. Its appearance is determined by what it's appearing to. Yeah? That's you. Not me, but you. This isn't a spiritual passivity. This is an incredibly active aliveness. Yeah. I bet you take your whole life story, and let's say it covered 800 more, probably let's say 8,000 pages of fine, double print or whatever. Let's just for a month, basically. It's not even a year, life. And there you go. And there's all this stuff happening to you. All right, now we get this big spiritual crane with this template that you and I are the dream of the dream. We drop it. Thousands of pages get explained by that one statement. Follow the many, it will always lead to the one. Follow the many. Don't get lost in the world of manyness. Follow it, and it will always lead to the one. That's where the solution lies. Right where the problem seems to be getting hatched. That's where the solution lies. No other than where you are right now, at all times, with no requirement necessary. It is available. It's not going to thrust itself on you. So I saw the biggest dilemma was, how do I get the attention and interest out of self after I learned that it's self trying to do it? Yeah. So let's say I go and I sign up for a 2-year course on obsession with self. That could be seen as obsession with self. You see, you can't get out of this little dilemma. As self. Self can't get out of self. No matter how slick you become or how old the method is you think is going to get self out of self, it ain't going to happen. Yeah? So how can that be produced then if what's going to be producing it is the problem? And it's going to just exasperate the problem with all these failed solutions. No, that's not the movement. The movement is you lose interest in the problem. By entertaining it may not be you. If it's not you, you will lose interest in it. And it's in the loss of interest in it that things are revealed. Not having the interest morphed into another form of selfing, you'll lose interest in what's facilitating or producing the sense of self. Why? Because the center of the system won't be you anymore. Or maybe you just entertain the possibility that it wasn't you. Yeah? And if the mind's ready, that possibility is going to turn into a probability. And then with no thought or effort on your part, because that would be self trying to get out of self, the interest will move away from that dead horse. And what I found out, it starts enlivening your day instead of enslaving your day to this long run of prior days and future days. Yeah? You're now located where you've always been, yet you're available to it. Yeah? So you sense this, what we would call the higher power. The higher power is nothing other than you. Yeah? We're so afraid to meet it As us, we have to have like middlemen. You know what I mean? Middlemen and middlewomen. But basically, what happens is you're the solution, and you can seemingly be the problem. The great news is that the problem can only reach a level of seemingly so, and what you are is so. So no matter how you look like thinking you're losing, you can't lose, because selfing will deteriorate. Selfing will give up. Selfing is finite. What you are is infinite. You're always going to win out. If you just can abstain a little bit, the selfing will lose momentum. And then that thing that seems so unapparent will become your dominant influence. You won't see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, touch it, but you'll fucking sense the hell out of it. Just like you're having a sense of self, you'll have a sense of what you really are. Because the sense of what you really are is just been papered over by the sense of self. The selfing has claimed the sense of being as an attribute it has, as a mental condition. That's why it doesn't work. The solution is not in the mental fucking realm. We try to use the mental realm, sort of like being in the dream and then using the dream to dream yourself out of it. So let's say you look at subjective questions like, who am I? It's like you're using the selfing to question the selfing. Yeah? Not for it to find an answer, but they negate each other, and then you'll maybe, just maybe, get a huge free sample of what it's like to feel like you're being again, like when you were a kid. You'll feel it. Yeah? And then maybe the selfing will dominate again, but now, all right, so you ask, who's this that's worrying about next week? What? And then there's the sense of being. After a while, you don't need any of those little skillful means. You just rest in it. Yeah? You spend most of your quote-unquote time resting in it. Yeah? All the other shit happens, but the solar peaks are very small. The flare-ups are fucking minor compared to what it used to be like every freaking day. You know what I mean? The energy, instead of spurting out all day, is sustaining itself. Yeah? The presence begets presence. You can sense the space of a room. Never paid any attention to that. Now that's the first thing I meet when I walk in the room is the space of it. Sense it. You can almost feel it. You can see it almost. That becomes dominant. The things come and go. But what's the space that's holding them all? That doesn't come and go. Which seems a better bet? I'd rather put my attention that's always here than what comes and goes. It just makes fucking sense to me. Just like a pragmatic junkie. It's only so long I'm going to shoot terrible coke. I could tell the real deal when I put it in my vein. Well, you'll be able to tell the real deal. Yeah? It'll be like an unspoken yes. You won't be looking for a spiritual notary public. You don't need it to be authorized. You have a sense of it. That's it. Yeah. And every time you look, it's there. After a while, you realize it's never not been there. Yeah? So you're not busy looking anymore. You're very relaxed because you realize nothing that ever happens or did happen or will happen can ever change this fact. I am not of a thing, nor will I ever be. Yeah? I think it's great news. Because I'll tell you, man, just see what's going on here. Listen to people. I live in the lap of luxury, Marin County, and that doesn't mean a damn thing. People are bitching and moaning all fucking day. It's like I used to say, you drop an alcoholic into heaven, it'll be hell in a day. That's the type of mental states we're in. They're so fucking skewed and biased. You're always going to get the short end of the stick. You are. Remember, how did you ever feel? Remember when something would come your way and it'd be really good? Then you felt uncomfortable pretty quickly because you didn't think you deserved it. You're like, when is she going to find out I'm an asshole? Or something like this. I mean, let's say things going really well made you really uncomfortable. Yet the same head, if you felt like a little bleak for like a half an hour, maybe you listen to some song, it projects it as a lifelong depression. Do you want that to be like, here you are, let's say this event's like Turkish taffy. You want it to be the one that's pulling the Turkish taffy? Minimizing everything that seems to be like the flow and then maximizing the possibility of it being bleak? You want that to be the thing that's pulling the taffy all day? Wow. Why? Who wouldn't want to get loaded? Who wouldn't want to get some relief? It was the most authentic move I ever had when I was 13, was to get high. It was a damn good reason. But it got co-opted, like, once again. No. Yeah. And then your seeming solution became another chink in the bondage, chain of bondage. That's what it does. Whatever self claims, it's going to change. It's going to make it into something for its own betterment, not yours. And its agenda for you isn't happiness, joyousness, and freedom. No. I'm still waiting. If I just meet that one, I'm 60 years old now. Where's the one I'm going to meet? At the senior citizen home? With a walker, me and her, slowly, very slowly strolling, down the aisle of the Kmart the van took us to that day. Come on. Jesus Christ. Wake up, Stop putting your eggs in a basket that's reliable. Really, I'm serious. To me, it just makes sense. You're going to come to an end, and your head doesn't think so. It doesn't. It thinks it's going to be there to explain its death. It's not. When the body dies, the voice box shuts off. You're a fucking afterthought. Yeah. The event of death will happen now, and then the afterthought won't arise, so you won't even know what happened. You've been waiting to have the all-seeing eye tell you. I haven't heard the news. I'm dead. You're dead. It's over. You missed the bus. You know what I mean? You're bitching about the day you got on this bench, and there it was, and you missed it. The bus came, the doors opened, and you didn't get on. Can you imagine if you were devoted, have faith in that thought system? Maybe the thought system has an ironic twist. So the last minute of your life, it tells you you really blew it. Yes? You've been believing it your whole life. You don't think you're going to believe it then? That 1 second passing away, you'll believe that you really blew it. It's telling you're a loser now, and you believe it. You don't think you're going to change your tune when you hear that thing. You don't think that thing's going to be yapping? Forget it, man. I remember I got hit by a car. I was in a coma. When I came out, the sense of self was nowhere to be found until I realized I had resuscitated. Then it showed up again, pointing out all the things I did to get run over by the car like this. It was just insane. I realized how Johnny-come-lately it is, And every time I've been really injured, it wasn't there at all. But it showed up. I remember I got hurt my neck in the water. It looked like I could be paralyzed, right? It broke my neck or something. So they get me out of the water, and everything is just bright, It's just a true event. There was no Paul there, though the body was, participating, but there was no Paul there. And then the first thought from the mental state of selfing arrives. It says, I can't take the ambulance. It will cost too much money. Just let me die on the beach, Fuck, I can't afford that. You see when people you see sometimes when there's an accident, they don't want to break their iPad. They fall down the cliff because at that moment the iPad was more valuable than you. You see? Fuck. Seriously, look at how much time your ass. They said in AA when you came in, you got to be willing to save your ass instead of your face. But when I came in, I thought my ass was my face. So I was all about saving my image, big time. You know what I mean? I could care less how I felt, as long as I looked good, feeling it. You know, that was the point. It was insane. Then I had a very, very, very simple spiritual anatomy class, and they pointed out what my ass was on my face, so that I could start living to save my fucking ass. You know what I mean? So this is what worked for me. I don't know if a lot of stuff built me up for this or not. People who are into the whole story of time always talk to me about that. But you did this and this and this, and that's why this happened. I don't know. You could say it may have turned out that way, but something happened at a meeting just like this that my eyes started to get open. And that's why I have a lot of faith in mind, because I believe every knowledge, everything is always potential. You bring it all forth, yeah? So it's there in all of us, yeah? It's your whistle, and sometimes someone has to bring you the whistle, yeah? But it's going to be your whistle. And when I heard this message, it really hit me like an unspoken yes. And like a pit bull, I haven't let it loose in I don't know how many years now. It just registered before all knowing that it was so, and I haven't changed my tune ever since. It's the last answer. I haven't looked for anything else. Totally bored stiff of any kind of path or practice. Yeah. That's why we come here. I don't really come here for you. I don't know why I come here, but I've never missed a meeting. I've attended every meeting that I've been at. And there's a lot. You know, I wasn't going to wait for someone to come once a year. I mean, it's just like when I got sober. I remember I got sober, and they took me to an 8 o'clock meeting, and then I had something happen while I was asleep, and when I woke up, I realized I can't wait till 8 o'clock. So I said, I better call this thing called AA and find out if there's an earlier meeting. You know what I mean? There's no way, oh, I saw the master last year. You know what I mean? No, that's not going to work. I want a reminder, not of all this that we're constantly reminded of, but a reminder of something other than this. Yeah? So it becomes familiar. Just like if you do an exercise, let's say you do something called Qi Kung. After a while, you've done it so long, maybe you used to do it maybe half hour through the practice, the energy would start moving. But now, all you do is get in the beginning posture and the energy moves. Because the mind's familiar with it, yeah? The mind's familiar with it. It starts slipping into it very easily. It's not a big event anymore. This is totally ordinary for me. What's really extraordinary is all the insanity here, out here. This is so freaking ordinary. Yeah. It's just because the extraordinariness is so crazy, this can seem to be really significant. But when the solution hits you, there's no bells and whistles. It's not exciting at all. It's not. You can't get it as an experience. You can't claim it. You can't wear it. You can't have people, oh, you look so loving today, or whatever. None of that may ever happen. But you're aware that you're aware. Yes. The one ingredient that might be missing in your life is reinstated because it never left. Yeah. Now you're not just aware of what isn't aware, you're aware of what's aware. Yeah? It produces a very stabilizing, reliable, quote-unquote, solution. So, there you go.